So what's a macro? So this has been winter's freshest fit, trying to stay as fresh as we are fit. And today we're gonna do something a little different. So you guys know I do on this channel, we have the fashion side of things, wearing like the cool clothes and the scoop necks and staying fashionable and check. But then we also have the fit side, and the fit side is the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes of this channel. And I've been through a lot of science classes and work and coursework, everything from exercise physiology to biomechanics to science classes and work and coursework, and everything from exercise physiology to biomechanics to organic chemistry and regular physiology and nutrition and dietetics courses, and the whole gambit, okay, from A to B through my bachelor's in science degree in health and exercise physiology to my dentistry degree, my doctorate, which had tons of different medical classes, from human anatomy with a live cadaver, not a live cadaver, but a cadaver, which is a human body if you don't know, a live human body. You know, you also have your biochemistries, your chemistries, take, physical chemistry and organic chemistry, and basically it just blows my mind how many different science classes I've taken about the human body. And one thing I really wanted to create, and a big thing for me in this channel, is I like to teach and I like to put things in an easy, laid out format for people to understand who are new to this type of thing. So I know I'm going to get people from all walks of life, from beginners to intermediate people to people who are really advanced with this. And this series is for the beginner, so I'm going to call this my beginner series, the Freshest Fit Beginner Series, and this is going to go over everything basic that has to do with nutrition and dieting, and also working out, form, different types of exercises, what are the muscle groups and why, and also the little nuances you might just not know about the gym. And I might even do some basics fashion stuff, the fresh side of it as well, about different workout tops and bottoms and what shoes. There's so many different shoes. How can you choose these? What are some good alternatives? Cheaper alternatives, supplements, that whole type we'll go over. But today, we're going to start with something that I think everybody should know. And in the fitness world, you can go lift 110,000 pounds of weights every single day. Yeah, you'll gain some muscle mass, but if your diet is not there, you are absolutely screwed. Nothing's going to happen, nothing is going to change. So today, we're going to go over macros. So what's a macro? Most people that talk about this are in the fitness sector. You probably hear them, the If It Fits Your Macros crew, or just kind of anything. But basically, there are 4 different types of macros. 3 you've probably heard, and the 4th is a little hidden guy that we'll talk about later. Okay, first, before we even go into these, I want to show you this picture. So I'm going to put up a picture right now. Okay, when you see this picture, what do you think this is? What are you eating? Okay, this is going to be a whole different kind of mind-altering change here. So what you're thinking right now is, I'm eating a burger and fries. Okay, I'm having a burger and fries, whether it's Red Robin or Smash Burger or Five Guys or McDonald's. You still see the same thing. I'm eating a burger and fries. Okay, maybe a pop, maybe a milkshake, yada yada. So that's how you think right now. So after this video, I want you to think a little differently, and we'll go over that. So the first 3 major macros are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. These 3 make up the bulk of almost everything you will eat. And they're so important that you know what they are, so you can basically mold your diet to what they are. If you don't know what you're eating, how can you make sure to eat the right things, okay? So we're gonna just start off right here with protein. So protein is going to be the building blocks of your muscle, okay? These are the things that break down into a thing called amino acids. The amino acids get shuttled to your muscle tissue and they help you rebuild your damaged tissue or grow muscle, which is what we want. And I'll get into all the specifics of calories and percentages and everything else here. This is strictly just to learn macros. What are they? Why do you need to know them? So protein, like I said, are your lean meats, your chickens, your porks, your fish, your turkey, everything like that. Those are your whole food sources of protein. You also have different whey proteins or isolates or casein proteins or soy protein powders, and those are more of your supplemental style proteins. You really want to try and get as much of your protein as you can from whole sources and lean meats. So, like I said, we'll go into lean meats and everything else, but I just want you to get a sense of what they are. So, on this burger, the patty is the protein, okay? Now, a lot of different places also have a ton of fat mixed in with their protein on burgers. That's why you see somebody, like if you have the chicken, you have the little fat hanging off, that's protein and fat. So most of the time, proteins and fats go together a lot unless you get really lean sources like your 97.3 ground beefs. But at a fast food restaurant, it's more 70-30, like 70% protein, 30% fat. So in that case, you're getting a lot of fat with your protein. But we'll touch on that here in a second. So of the burger, the patty or bacon on top of it, if you so inclined to do so, is your protein. Okay, moving on. Alrighty, so now that we've gone over protein, let's get into carbs. Now, I know what you're saying. Ben, no, I can't have carbs because they're going to make me fat. If I eat all the bread and cheese, I'm going to get fat. Okay. This is one of the biggest problem I have with anybody I teach fitness, anybody I talk about diet with, anybody I talk about anything with, especially females. Ding, 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 alert. If you're a female right now, listen to me, okay? Carbohydrates are not the devil, and they are not going to make you fat. That has been proven so many times scientifically, research articles, everything else. Okay, whew. Anyways, in rant, carbohydrates. These are a piece of your diet that normally consists of breads, whole grains, rices, etc., etc. So what is a carbohydrate? What does it do for your body? So as the protein we talked about, that builds the muscle and it builds your cells and it builds everything else. Carbohydrates are your energy source, or one of your energy sources, but your main energy source. So basically what happens is these carbohydrate molecules get broken down into glycogen and sometimes like sugar, very basic sugars and everything else. And it basically feeds your body. It gives you the energy. It shuttles the glycogen to your muscles to make them fuller and to give you power to work and have energy to play and hang out and do things. So if you're really low carb, how do you think your energy is going to be? You got it. It's going to be tanked. So that's why carbohydrates are so important, and they're not the devil. Most people that do diets, and we'll get into the diet that I want you to do, is most people are high carbohydrates. Their carbohydrates are more than anything else, more than protein, more than fats. They eat more carbohydrates every day than anything because they want to keep their energy levels up. They want to have energy for the gym. They want to have energy for the day. It's a long day. You don't want to be sitting there not having any energy. So that's what carbohydrates do. So now let's talk about the different sources of them. So I told you we have the grains and the rice and the breads and the potatoes and everything else. And those are your whole food sources of carbohydrates, your good, refined sources that are pretty healthy for you. And then you also have kind of the more negative sides, and I'll tell you why, of carbohydrates. And those are your sugars, your candies, all of those type of things. Now there are some sugars that are good, like fructose, fructose from your fruits and things like that. And those are good sugars. Those are, they have fiber and stuff in them too to make you full. But the problem with those are they're still carbohydrates. They're still calories, but they don't have the satiating factors of the whole carbs. So if I eat a cup of rice, I will feel full, it will expand in my stomach, and then I will feel good, and I'll have that same energy because it takes time to digest it. It's almost like you're only letting a little bit of water trickle out at a time, so that energy is steady going through. Whereas if I eat a bag of Sour Patch Kids or a cup of Sour Patch Kids, the same amount of calories as a cup of rice, however many that is. The problem with that is it jumps in all at once, so it's like a floodgate. So you have all this energy at once, and that spikes your insulin levels and causes a bunch of havoc on your body and kind of almost tells your body to store fat, and then you have a crash because you have that flood of energy and then you just shut down. So that's why those type of carbohydrates are bad. Those are, obviously you can have a diet, well you can, but you can't healthily have a diet of all those type of things and expect to have a good, healthy body and lose weight or gain muscle, whichever you want. Moving on, that's carbohydrates. We've gone through proteins, carbohydrates, and now it's on to the big daddy of them all, fats. And fats also have gotten a negative connotation in the past, where we had this whole craze of zero fat this, all this type of things. But fats are also not bad guys. Fats also can give you energy as well, and they can be used as an energy source in the body, although your main energy source is carbohydrates. Also, they provide you with a lot of essential vitamins like A, E, D, and K, just overall health of your body. So you need fats every day. You don't need a ton of fats every day. You do need fats every day. And once you get up to that level of fats every day, you don't really get the benefit that you would from a carbohydrate. So let's say I can get all my vitamins a day with 50 grams of carbs. So if I eat those, or 50 grams of fat, I apologize. So 50 grams of fat, that comes through. Now if I eat an exponential amount of fat past that, will I get a huge energy increase and an energy boost like I would if I ate that many more carbs? No, I wouldn't. But that's why, again, the high carbohydrate is the way to go, because it does exponentially increase. The more you eat carbs, the more energy you're gonna have. If you eat 100 grams of carbs and then you eat 200 grams of carbs, the person who ate 200 grams of carbs is gonna have more energy. Especially if they're those healthy, kind of slow releasing energy carbs. That's why fat is important to you. It is not the end all be all, and you should not substitute your fat for your carbohydrates, in my personal opinion. Now there are a lot of people that do the ketogenic diet, which means you have a very low carbohydrate and you have a very high fat intake. And there's a couple reasons why I don't like that, and we'll go through that in the diet video. This is solely just to let you guys know what macros are. So what are the fats? Skip back to the carbohydrates really quick. What are the carbohydrates on the burger now? So we've got the protein. What are the carbohydrates? That'll be your buns, French fries, etc., etc. You'll also have some refined sugars and things in the ketchup or barbecue sauce. Those are also carbs. You might not have even thought those were carbs, but yeah, those are carbs as well. Sauces have a ton of carbohydrates in them, and not the good type. So anyways, that was the carbohydrates. Now back to the fats. What are the fats on the burger? And this is where it gets a little tricky, because you have to really know your stuff if you want to know what fats are. So first off, the beef is probably a higher fat percentage beef, because they want you to like it. It's very tasty, it's juicy, it's addicting, and so it's probably a 70% protein and 30% fat meat. So the meat has fat in it. Sometimes your bread and other sources like that can have some fat added in to help with preservatives and shelf life and all that type of things. Those can have fats in them. Unless you know they're whole grain or they're rice that has not been enriched or touched, then it could have some fats in it. The different sauces can also have fats in it. Ranch is very high in fat. Barbecue sauce has a lot of fat. Other things like that, French dressing, things, all of that nature, Thousand Island, all have fats in them. So you have to really kind of know your stuff over time to figure out what has fat. And then you may say, oh, French fries, got it, those are potatoes, those are carbohydrates, we went over that, easy. But what did they cook it in? They probably cooked it in oil, like canola oil, or God knows what oil in the fast food industry. So shout out to peanut oil, Chick-fil-A. But anyways, so those oils are fats. Anything you cook with oil-wise is fat. Butters are fat. Cheeses and dairies are fat. So the cheese on there is fat. Bacon is a very high fatty meat. So that also has fat. So now we're going to get into something very important. So now you have seen that picture. I'll throw it up one more time. And now instead of looking at this, I want you to look at it as, this is not just a burger and fries. These are proteins, carbs, and fats. This is what I'm eating. I'm eating a lot of carbohydrates here, not very much protein at all, just a little burger patty, and a ton of fat, because the fat is probably everywhere in the meat, in the oils, in the sauces, in the everything. And I'll tell you why that's so important. Right now, if we look at the three, we have a carbohydrate, we have a fat, and we have a protein. Now, you keep saying grams of this and grams of that, and I don't understand that. I thought we were counting calories. That's true. And that's why it's really important to know in the basic exercise physiology, nutrition, dietetics world, you have to know how many calories are in 1 gram of fat, 1 gram of protein, and 1 gram of carb. So protein and carbohydrates are both 4 calories per gram. Okay, so if I ate 1 gram of each of those, I just consumed 4 calories. Now this is where it gets a little interesting, and why having those high fatty foods is not such a good idea. 1 gram of fat is so dense that is actually 9 calories per gram, double what a protein and a carb is. That means I could eat double the size of my carbohydrates as my fats, okay, and I would still have less calories in the carbs. So really kind of beat that into your head right now. I can have lean chicken and 2 cups of rice, or a cup of rice, and go to 500 to 700 calories, okay? But if I switch out that chicken with a fatty beef patty like that, and I switch out the whole grain rice or white rice to French fries and oil with some ranch dip, I just shot up from 500 calories to 1,000 calories, because it has so much fat in it, and fat is so calorie dense. And that is where Americans really get into trouble, is because they have high carbohydrate, high fat, low protein diets. And that is the absolute worst thing you can do for your body. Because if you have a ton of carbohydrates and a ton of energy, and your body is perfectly fine on that, and you have a high fat diet, then what's your body going to do with all that fat? It doesn't need it, because it's got so many carbs for energy. So what would you do? You would hoard it, you would keep it, you would save it for a rainy day, and that's how you get fat. So whenever you look at your meals, if you see high carb, high fat, low protein, ding, 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 you're in the danger zone. And unless you're really experienced at tracking your macros, then you're in for some trouble. All right, so we've gone over the 3 protein, carbs, and fats. We know a protein is 4, a carb is 4, and a fat is 9. But wait, Ben, didn't you say there was a 4th little sneak hanging out in there? The 4th guy sneaking in there, the last thing you would think about when you're counting it. And I want you to think about this and answer this question. If I threw a beer in front of you, what is it? Is it a carb? Is it a fat? Is it a protein? Technically, it's got a little bit of all 3 in there, but there is a 4th one as well, and that's alcohol. So just the fact of knowing that alcohol is its own separate macro, and just to let you know the calorie-wise, it's between a carb and a protein and a fat. So those are 4, this is 9, and alcohol is actually 7 calories per gram, okay? And what that means is it's pretty dense. And as you know, alcohol is pretty easy to consume, so you're consuming something that is dense in calories very quickly. Now, what does an alcohol do for you? Well, it actually does nothing good for you at all, because it's a toxin. And it can decrease protein synthesis and stop muscle growth. It just causes you to feel real crappy, mostly because of dehydration. It basically stops all your bodily functions and shifts them over to getting the toxin out of your body. It makes you feel like crap the next day, so your workouts might suffer. You might feel lazy and more tempted to eat bad foods afterwards. It's just negative all around. So just really quickly, I wanted to throw that in there and let you guys know that. So the main 3 are your bread and butter, what you're going to be experiencing every day. But I just want you to know, when you pop that Corona and you start drinking, that you got to realize that that's in there too. And sometimes those are the ones that really kill you, because you might not know it's there, and it's just is like you can easily consume 2,000 calories in alcohol really quick. I want to say 1 shot of like vodka or something is like 100 to 150 calories. So I mean, it's pretty dense, and it's a lot of calories really quickly. Ending the rant, let's kind of go over a nice overall view of what we've been over today. So I'm going to put that picture back up one more time. Boom. We don't even have to keep it up there very long. But hopefully now when I say, what are you looking at? You won't just say, I'm eating a burger and fries, Ben. That's what I'm eating. You're not. Now you're going to be thinking about it and you're going to be saying, well, let's look at this. I'm eating carbohydrates over here, eating carbohydrates over here. This probably has fat in it. This has a lot of fat in it, and that has a lot of fat in it. And my dressings have a lot of fat in it. And I got this little protein patty. So in your head, you're thinking, okay, well, Ben, we talked about this and we'll go more in depth in it later, but he said something about, you want to have high carb, low fat, and high protein. And this looks like a high carb, high fat, low protein meal. So maybe it's not the best choice for me. That's what I want you to get into the habit of doing. That's how you're going to be successful with dieting. And that's how you're going to just change your life when it comes to fitness. So, I wanted to start out with this because it is so darn important to have diet locked in. And if you don't understand what these are before we go into the diets and countings and all of this other stuff, then you're going to fail. Okay, you're going to fail so hard, because I know so many people that say they're tracking their calories and then they say they eat all these different things and like, oh, I didn't know that was a carb. I thought it was a fat. I didn't know it had fat in it. How am I supposed to know? I was like, come on, man, start using your brain, learning about these things. You know these things now. So this is how you're going to be successful, and this is how we're going to lead into the next video. So beginner series, this is video 1, the FRESHasFIT beginner series numero dos, or 2, we're going to be going over diets. We're going to be going over a high carb, low fat diet. We're going to be going over keto diets. We're going to be going over VLCDs, or very low calorie diets, and why they are no bueno. I don't know how I'm doing, man. I am really doing Spanish today, real big. But anyways, so we're going to be going over those. We're going to be going over how to calculate your TDEE, or total daily energy expenditure, and find your kind of calorie plateau or normality area. And we're going to be talking about how to take that calorie number that we come up with and manipulate it to lose fat or gain muscle. We're also going to talk about the percentages of what your macros should be in your diet, and just kind of overall nuances on how to track it and do it and be successful at it. So that's the next video. Thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate it, guys. Like you said, I'm new to this. Well, I'm not new to this, but I'm new to the YouTube channel and everything else. And I would love it if you liked, if you commented, if you subscribed. If you have some knowledge that you think maybe I left out, throw it in the comments. These people are here searching for these videos to watch these videos because they want to learn. And I totally commend you guys for sticking through, listening to what I have to say, and learning, because you're going to be so much better off when you go through this whole beginner series, especially if you're new to this. So basically what I'm trying to say is just thanks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching the videos. I would love it if you subscribed and kept up. Next video is coming out soon. We're going to be going over all that diet stuff I talked about, and then we're going to be moving from there straight into workouts, forms, muscle groups, human anatomy, everything else. So once again, this is Ben Winters of FRESHasFIT, trying to stay as fresh as I am fit, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.